Hi guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with another episode that will be useful to you guys, not just for your pageants, but in fact for life. And I'm so excited to talk about this because this question has been asked so many times and I have been finally able to compile some really actionable techniques that I believe will work for each one of you. So without wasting any further time, let's dive straight into the 6 ways that will help you look more confident. Now, the reason I said that these techniques will make you appear or look confident and not feel confident is because I do believe that there is a difference in those two things. And it is important to know what is the difference. I feel that feeling confident on the inside is something that does take years and years of practice and years of putting yourself out there. Only then will you internally feel confident. But that doesn't mean that until you reach that stage, you can't appear confident. Yes, the most cliche quote that we have heard, fake it till you make it, is pretty good to hear, but I'll also help you figure out today how can you make yourself look confident, because even if you're not feeling confident on the inside, there are some really good ways to make every other person in the room come up to you and ask, how do you do this so confidently? And so the first technique that I have in order to appear confident in front of a large audience, whether it's hundreds or thousands of people, no matter what the situation is unfocused eye contact. What this means is that when you're addressing an audience and you're speaking to them, in pageant situations, this will be when you are introducing yourselves for the first time, say on ground auditions, or whether you're giving a speech, addressing a school audience or a college audience, or maybe you've been invited as a speaker at some college. It could be anything. What intimidates most people is eye contact, and the technique to make that easier for yourself is to not make eye contact with one person at a time, but rather to look at a group of people together. This technique is something that I had actually had a conversation about with Tejal Patil, who was Femina Miss India Andhra Pradesh 2020, and before she was going for her final segment of the pageant, we had this phone call where she was telling me about what she has been doing to feel more confident and how do you get rid of stage fear, especially in 2020 when you don't get to interact with that many people. And a very simple hack that she had been using was that she had pasted a picture, a printed out picture of a large audience behind the ring light where she was usually practicing speaking in front of the camera. And how that helped her was that in a way it was a mock setup of her addressing a large audience, and you can in fact do this with a printed picture of an audience, or you can just maybe make your really large family sit down in a room and try to just talk about anything under the sun, and make sure that you don't make eye contact with individual people. If you select a group of 5 people here in the room and then a group of 5 people here, and then you look at a group of 5-6 people over here, that will obviously help you not get so uncomfortable with that sustained eye contact, and at the same time you are making eye contact with people. You're not avoiding their gaze, and that helps so many people come across as much more confident speakers in a room. The second technique to appear confident is to give yourself a countdown. Now what this means is, if you've seen the Victoria's Secret fashion shows, I personally am a huge fan, and yes, they did go down a really controversial path recently, but I did enjoy watching those shows back in my college days. And something that I've noticed that happens every time a model, before she comes out on the ramp, is that the backstage managers give them the cue, 3, 2, 1, go time. And I love the adrenaline rush and the thrill that comes with that countdown. And so the technique to come across as a confident person, anytime there is a situation that is intimidating you and you feel like, I'm not sure if I can go and say this to this person, it might be an uncomfortable conversation that you're not looking forward to. No matter what the position you are in, you can always give yourself a countdown and tell yourself, 3, 2, 1, here I go, I'm gonna do this. And just doing that countdown in a way just pushes each one of us. And trust me, this technique will only make sense to you once you start practicing it. But believe me, it has helped me in so many situations. And when I had learned this technique, what really helped me remember it is the line that says, Counting will get you started and the momentum will keep you going. Try it out for yourself, guys, and tell me whether or not it helped you look more confident. The third technique is so important, and this is a non-verbal way of making yourself look as a confident person, and that has to do with your body language. In fact, your body language is so crucial and important that even in a lot of pageant interviews, they sometimes have body language analysts sitting somewhere in the corner of the room just to see which contestant is shaking her leg a little too much, maybe she's fidgeting with her hands a little too much. And so despite you saying a lot of maybe really intelligent answers, if you are fidgeting with your legs, it's not going to come across as a confident personality. And those are the nuances through which someone can tell that he or she is nervous. And so some things to keep in mind with respect to your body language is make sure that you don't fold your arms ever. It makes you come across as a really unapproachable, not friendly person, maybe a shy person, or maybe someone who thinks she's better than someone else in the room, not the impression you want to create. And also most of the times it's going to look as someone who doesn't want to mingle, maybe is not so confident to have a lot of conversations with the people in the room. Another thing is make sure that you don't fidget with your fingers, don't do this a lot, don't shake your legs, and being mindful of these habits and these behavioral aspects will make sure that you come across as more confident just because of the way you are sitting. So your posture is extremely important. And how do you really inculcate these things? Record yourselves as much as possible. Always notice your body language in pictures and try to imitate a person whose body language you really like. There is a very detailed video that I actually love to share with whoever I teach how to be more confident, and that video I will link in the description box below. So go and see it for yourself, where a body language expert tells how they can actually gauge the confidence level of a public figure solely based on their body language. Tip number 4 is to take a seat at the table literally. Now what this means is you might not be so underconfident, but you might come across as someone who's not confident. And that's even worse, right? And so to further explain this technique, let's take an instance where all of the pageant contestants, or maybe a bunch of you in general, not in a pageant, have entered into a room. And now everyone's waiting for the first person to take the seat. Mostly it is women who will hesitate, and it's the men who usually go and take a seat at the conference tables first, and the women wait for the men to take the seat first and then they take the remaining seats. Don't be that person. You initiate, you take that first step and you take a seat at the table even when the table is empty, and people will follow in your footsteps. So if you can show that you have that initiative taking capacity and that you are a leader in a way, it just makes you look so much more confident. And yes, it will feel a little uncomfortable at first if it doesn't come naturally to you, and maybe you're still shaking and you're still a little bit nervous even while doing it, but nobody else is going to find that out, right? You are going to come across as the most confident person in the room who just went and took a seat. No matter what room you are in, there have been so many female CEOs who have said this time and again: take a seat at the table and make your own space. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you what to do. Tip number 5, cheer for other people's success. This is such a nice way of not just looking confident, but it's just a basic etiquette as well, I would suggest. And what that means is, because confident people are not going to feel threatened by another competitor's success. In fact, they're going to cheer on their competitor as well. The most unflattering thing that someone can do is show that they are insecure and they are threatened by someone else climbing up the ladder. Not just is it going to give out the impression that you are threatened and you feel insecure, but mostly, why is she not confident in her own abilities? No matter what is happening, there might be contestants who look prettier than you, who have a better walk than you, who have something like a better wardrobe than you. But if you are going to feel threatened by it, and if you're going to hold back and have those negative feelings around it, it's going to come across and it will reflect at some place or the other. Whereas if you, despite not having the most amazing wardrobe, not having the most amazing walk, but you're constantly cheering on for your contestants who are with you, for your friends, no matter whether someone is above you or below you, when you do that, you come across as the most confident person in the room, and it's such an attractive quality to have. And the last technique to make yourself look confident and also feel confident a little bit is to use your prior success to propel yourself forward. Every time you feel underconfident or nervous about a certain situation, think of all the times that you felt like this earlier and you still went ahead with it. So you have to remind yourself that you are capable of getting through this moment, and even if you make a mistake, it's completely fine. There's this concept that Brené Brown had spoken about in one of her books called Shame Resilience, and what I loved about that concept is that when you become resilient to feeling shame, which is what we feel when we make a mistake, probably because we were underconfident, how we go inside that black hole is that we don't want to talk about how we messed up. And that leads to more shame. Whereas if you just spoke about your mistake to a friend and probably said, you know what, I really blew up that talk. I should have prepared my script better. I should have prepared better. I should have had this in my content, and I should have said this in my introduction. No matter what happens, at the end of it, you come back and you openly discuss your feelings about your own performance. And that is such a good way to build shame resilience. So even if you made a mistake in one particular instance, you will make sure that because you're not carrying that shame and guilt from the previous instance, it's never going to go forward into one of your other performances. And eventually you feel a lot more confident, because where there is shame, it's gonna take up the space where there could have been confidence. And so these are my 6 techniques in order to appear more confident. And like I will reiterate at the ending, yes, confidence is something that you have to fake before you actually make it. And it just happens with time. In fact, Priyanka Chopra also said this in one of her interviews, that confidence is not a feeling that you have to carry with you throughout all the time. And you don't have to feel confident 24 hours a day. But if you think of it this way, that when you step out onto the ramp, I just have to appear confident for the next 30 seconds, that will feel like such a smaller and a much more doable task than I have to be confident. You see how intimidating the second task can be, and it's something that takes years. And even if you don't feel 100% confident, even when you're 60, it's completely fine, because that lack of confidence might be the reason that you prepare more and give more time to your preparation and put in more hard work than another person who feels 100% confident, because that line between confidence and overconfidence is very, very fine. So it's fine to feel a little bit underconfident, but in the meantime, let's not make anyone else find out how nervous we are. Those were my 2 cents on how to appear more confident. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and in fact, if there are any other tips and techniques that you use to look more confident, then do drop them in the comment section below. I would love to go through them myself, because we can all learn from each other, and these tips will help you not just in your pageants but rather in life itself. And so I wish you guys all the very best for any upcoming situation you have where you have to come across as the most confident person in the room. As always, I love you guys so much, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye bye.